19 people remain hospitalized, 2 of them in critical condition after yesterday's elementary school explosion in Spencer, Oklahoma. 5 children and a teacher were killed. Investigators seek a cause for the tragedy. And as David Dick reports, survivors seek its meaning.
On January 19, 1982, a devastating tragedy struck Star Elementary in Spencer.
No voices of children were heard at the serving line today, where for the past 8 years, Helen Bowling has baked pastries and filled the trays of the children and their teachers. Helen Bowling survived.
The water heater exploded with the force of a rocket. Teacher Diana Monroe and 6 students, Latasha Marie Brown, Gina Hyder, Kareem Monora, Paul Motes, Marlo Tremaine Wallace, and Angela Martin lost their lives.
All over the floor, and just some of them was bleeding, some of them was moving, some of them was still. I seen one teacher, and I looked at her, and I knew right away she was dead, and I knew a bunch of these kids was dead.
50 to 60 students had gathered here in the cafeteria as they always had. They wanted to eat and then go play. But there was a horrifying explosion which ended all that. It left a huge gaping hole where the blast was centered.
The explosion sent chunks of concrete and glass raining down on the school, forever altering the community. The heartbreak was compounded by lawsuits, accusations in the aftermath. A new law was passed requiring state inspections of water heaters like the one responsible for the explosion, an effort to prevent future loss of life. Though 40 years have passed, the scars of that day remain deep in the hearts of the Spencer community. The site of the old school, now home to a Walgreens, stands as a solemn reminder of the lives lost. A plaque at the location honors their memory, a quiet but enduring tribute to those who perished on that tragic day. But the impact of that explosion is something Spencer will never forget. A faulty boiler, malfunctioning without warning, while children and their teachers sit unknowingly. A tragedy like this must never happen again.
A horrifying explosion which ended all that. It left a huge gaping hole where the blast was centered. All evidence seemed to point to 2 water heaters. Investigators studied them today to pinpoint the exact malfunction. A spokesman for the medical examiner, a police officer, Ed Foreman, described how the victims died.
All the deaths were from fractured cervical spines.
As we remember the victims of the Star Elementary tragedy, we wanted to honor those whose lives were taken too soon. While we have been able to identify the final resting places of most of the victims, to Angela Martin and Gina Hyder remain elusive, though their graves are currently unfindable. We take comfort in knowing they have been laid to rest somewhere, and their spirits continue to be with us in memory. In times of sorrow, we turn to the words of Scripture for solace and hope. As it says in the book of Psalms, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted, and saves those who are crushed in spirit." Psalm 34-18. May this truth bring peace to all who remember them, and may their spirits find rest in God's eternal care.